What's going on, folks? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace. Happy game day, everybody. Hope you're all doing well here on this Saturday morning. Arkansas plays UTSA today, 1 o'clock, Bud Walton Arena, Saturday afternoon crowd in Fayetteville. Should be a good one. We previewed this game yesterday just to give folks time to listen to it, more than a couple hours, just with it being an early tip and everything like that. But what I said to you was that I would be back on Saturday morning with some clips and some thoughts from the preview press conference. Hear what the Razorbacks had to say about this matchup with UTSA. Well, that press conference didn't happen. So several games now that we haven't had a preview presser leading up to a game. Pretty rare, I think, but not going to harp on it too much. Just kind of given some of the obvious circumstances that are weighing heavily on myself, my colleagues, the U of A media right now. So we survive, we adapt, right? You gotta mix it up a little bit sometimes when things don't go according to plan. Nothing is worse than expecting something and not getting it. Personally, I know exactly like when my favorite podcast or whatever is supposed to drop. And I plan things around them. You know what I mean? Like I like to run, I go out and jog a lot. Put in the AirPods, throw on the podcast. I know when it's coming out. Cool. It's part of my routine. When I don't get that, or if it's late or postponed or whatever, I'm disappointed. I'm not going to lie. So rather than doing that and just kind of taking the morning off, which we haven't done since August when we started this thing, I had to come in here and do something. So we're going to riff a little bit, just for those who start their day with my voice. For whatever reason, I certainly appreciate those of you who do. I'm very interested to see how Arkansas comes out of the gates today. It's going to be just kind of a different type of challenge for this team. They played better opponents, but from a mentality standpoint, a preparation standpoint, it's a trap game. The first one of these that we've really seen for Arkansas. Is it going to be kind of a letdown game? Are they going to be lacking energy? Are they going to look like a team that is coming off of an emotional high? Or looking like a team that's preparing for one, going to New York, maybe looking ahead. I hope not. I'd love to see Arkansas go out there and get kind of a wire-to-wire, feel-good type of win before they head to Madison Square Garden. I think every Razorback fan would agree with that. How much of Big Z are we going to see with that ankle that he's got? Is Jonas Adu ready to level up a little bit, start producing a little bit more? Can Jonell Davis have 2 good games in a row? Check out the preview from yesterday for the in-depth analysis, getting into the weeds with the Roadrunners if you want to. For this morning, though, we'll pivot a little bit. How about just a little stock analysis on the Razorbacks here? November's behind us. Just a handful of games left before the start of SEC play. How about the SEC in general through a month here? I mean, for the longest, this has been a conference, a league from a basketball standpoint that's been on the rise. Excuse me, the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, the SEC has really stood out as the league that's getting the most high-end talent, not just from the recruiting rankings, but also guys going in the lottery, going in the draft, really is elevated from a talent standpoint, the league has. And we started to see it climb with more NCAA tournament bids, whatever. But it was still kind of playing second fiddle. I feel like this year in particular is the one where the SEC has caught up, maybe past the Big 12 as the best league in the country. We'll see how it winds up playing out here in the end. But it's just been really, really impressive so far. You see a lot of power rankings out there right now. A lot of people do that after a month. I do it too. I think about that all the time. Just based on what people have seen so far, I see a lot of, Arkansas 10th, 11th, 12th in the SEC. And people get a little bit salty about that. And I think it's partly because, the Hogs have been a little bit banged up, and then they're behind where we hope they would be at this point. I think everybody can agree with that and understand it. Showing signs of life. We know how talented this team can be, or we know how talented they are. We know how good they can be. They just got to put it all together. It's a process, and they're not as far along in the process as we'd like them to be. But I also think when you see Arkansas down there right now, it's a testament to this conference just being an absolute gauntlet. 14-2 against the ACC in that challenge this week. That is dominance. You go look, all 16 teams inside the top 69. Nice at KenPom. Ain't no other league like that. There are always a couple bottom feeders. Your bottom feeders are NCAA tournament bubble teams right now in the SEC. Arkansas's 12th on that list of SEC teams. They're at 42nd. at KenPom right now. If you go to barttorvik.com, I'm doing the analytics nerd stuff here. So pardon me if that's not your thing, but if you go there right now, one of the things you can do is sort their data. And basically, if you just go fiddle with the dates a little bit, you move it up to the actual starting date of the season, and it eliminates all that preseason bias. So basically, rather than having that stuff baked in, which is just expectations, old data, program performance, all those things that you kind of have to do to have some sort of rankings to start a year, it cuts all that crap out, and it's from opening night to the present. How have teams performed? You go look at that. It has Arkansas at 52nd in the country. And you're thinking, yeah, that's definitely lower than everybody expected. That was going to be a top 25 team. Yes, that is true. Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi State, all top 15 right now. And you got a couple other teams hovering right there in that same range as Arkansas. I think Texas is like maybe a spot or two ahead of Arkansas. The Razorbacks are ahead of Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, who's undefeated, by the way, Missouri, South Carolina, and LSU. So good handful of teams there. You look at the net rankings, Arkansas's 49th right now. So a few spots higher than where they started. Where they debut at 52nd, I think it was. So, got a road win at Miami, and that fluctuates every single day. We'll see. But I think Arkansas, they need to get a quad one win to really boost themselves up a little bit, because the record's fine at 6-2. I mean, you go look around the country. I think there's only like 9 undefeated teams left, a bunch of teams with 1 loss, a lot with 2. But some of the better teams in the country, and the teams that are going to be among the top when it's all said and done, they've got 3-4 losses already, playing tough schedules. Arkansas needs to win a good game, and they're going to have an opportunity to do that against Michigan. I think they jump up quite a bit if they did that. 8 SEC teams in the AP top 25. That's impressive. Now Arkansas is receiving the second most votes. They're like the de facto number 27, like just on the outside looking in. A win today, coupled with that Miami road win earlier in the week, does that sneak Arkansas back into the poll next week? Maybe, but I'm not so sure. North Carolina might drop out. I mean, they're basically at 500 now. Pitt probably dropping out after just getting the doors blown off of them at Mississippi State. But the Bulldogs probably move in because of that win. You know what I mean? Michigan, for example, who you play on Tuesday, is a couple spots behind you right now in the receiving votes category, but they just beat the number 11 team in the country on the road. So there's a good chance that they leapfrog you a little bit. So it would be really cool if it worked out. And there's obviously a lot of games to be played today. So maybe a couple other teams lose just from, the aesthetic standpoint, the hype, the buildup. The Jimmy V Classic is a huge event anyway. You're going to be at Madison Square Garden. You're going to be on network it's going to be an event, but if it's a top 25 matchup on top of that, you get a lot of eyes on it. So I hope it works out to both teams wind up ranked. It could be 24 versus 25 for all I care. It would be cool if it happened. Time will tell. Early bracketology stuff. And again, it doesn't matter, but it's just kind of fun to look at. You get, 8-10 games into a season, check it out. Okay. Lenardi has Arkansas as a 10 seed before the Miami win though. So they're probably hovering around that, or maybe in that 8-9 game range at the moment. I will point out though that Lenardi projects 12 SEC teams to make the field. 12. And that's crazy. No conference has ever done that before. But what you got to remember is the Pac-12 is no longer a thing. And so those bids, 5, 6, 7 bids from that league, they've got to be dispersed elsewhere. And what you're going to see is, these power conferences like the SEC, like the Big 12, that we're getting 8, 9 teams in every year. All of a sudden, they're going to be getting 10, 11 more every year. And so I think that's important to kind of consider because, like when you see Arkansas, for example, in some of these, power ratings, we're doing the power ratings for the SEC. We have Arkansas at 11th. And you're like, damn, 11th out of 16. Like, that sucks, man. These guys aren't any good. Oh, no, that's not true because a lot of people think they're going to get a dozen teams in the NCAA tournament. So still a really good team, but relative to the way the rest of the league has been performing out of the gates, maybe not where you want to be. When all is said and done, I really believe Arkansas is going to be quite a bit higher than that. I think there are some teams that are really overachieving right now that look good, that look like they might be NCAA tournament teams. Oklahoma, better than I thought. Georgia, better than I thought. When all is said and done, I think Arkansas is going to wind up a peg ahead of both of those teams. You know what I'm saying? But they got to go out there and win some games and prove that. And, I think also just understanding, that's a new word. We're going to coin that one. Understanding that handling is what I was trying to say, their business today. And then there's a lot of what ifs here, but if you get past Michigan, which won't be easy, it really sets Arkansas up nicely to be 11-2 with a quad one win and a true road win against power conference competition going into league play, wrapping up non-conference that way. They do that, like Arkansas is going to be back in the top 25, whatever that means in the AP poll, significantly higher in those net rankings and in really good spot entering league play. We'll see how it plays out, but just wanted to run through some of the numbers, kind of comparatively speaking with Arkansas and the SEC and kind of where they fit into a league that's just been absolutely dominant through the first month or so of the season. But going to get out of here. Hope everybody enjoyed. We will be back for the Pot at the Palace post-game show immediately following Arkansas's game against UTSA today. So make sure you tune in for that. Get subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel and follow along with our written content at InsideArkansas.com. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pot at the Palace. We'll see you guys a little bit later. Have a good one.